Hello, my name is Lindsay Stevenson. I'm a candidate for the administration licensing, the non-degree endorsement. So I am going to highlight some things in my portfolio. I organized all my artifacts by standard. It really helped me to recognize the items that I did throughout the last year and how they fit under the requirements. Um, I included my slides and a video about my goals. I've been doing a lot to reach those goals in the past few months, so I'm currently also working on Canvas certification and ISTE certified educator portfolio. So I have stretched myself thin to get to those goals and maybe a little bit of a faster timeline. I included my educational philosophy for administration, talking about leadership and really highlighting those that I have worked with in my current setting at Shawnee Mission South High School. I've been very fortunate to work with Dr. Justin Bogart and Dr. Todd Dane. They are both very strong leaders and share different qualities, so I've learned a lot from each of them. My resume was a PDF, so I have worked pretty hard on my resume recently, receiving promotion to coordinator of instructional technology. So this includes all my most current up to that point. So I was able to embed that in as a PDF. So moving on to probably my secondary artifacts. So in my position as an instructional coach, I have a lot of opportunities to work with our administration and administrative duties. I also, in my role as Canvas administrator, supported the remote elementary teachers a lot this year. So I worked very closely with our remote administrator, Laura Brogdon, and was able to support her and her staff through kind of that learning curve. So I am part of the KISA documentation process. I support that process within our building. I get feedback from our BLT on different action steps that they suggest, and even took it to the building level at a faculty meeting to get teachers to really consider and absorb what those visions and goals are. And then I present that to our site council for our building as well. I was able to participate even at the district level with this to evaluate other buildings and look at their KISA paperwork and their data and be able to give them feedback and show them ours as a way of giving them a model. So I had a lot of opportunities with the goals, the visions, the data, and that KISA process, which was very, very enlightening and educating. And, it's hard to be not in a place where I can change any of the goals or visions, but definitely eye-opening to see how that's all done. So then I also am part of our diversity and equity team. We trained with Corwin Deep Equity, and some of that was to really get our building ready to discuss culturally responsive teaching, to discuss race and ethnicity and sexuality choices, so that we all were able to be more open about those conversations. So we did a lot of work as our team trying to figure out how are we going to set norms. So we did that in a campfire setting. So I've included pictures of that. We did pre-surveys and post-surveys after the introduction so that we could see exactly how comfortable everybody felt. So this was part of that training. And one of my artifacts, and as soon as it loads. So one of those questions we ask staff is, do we have the necessary tone and trust among the adults in our building to even move forward into this? And then we kind of talked about discipline data in other buildings, and we did what we called the iceberg activity. So everybody, like, what do we see amongst each other, but what do we maybe not share except with people close to us? And then we shared those items amongst the staff. So here's another example about what some people maybe do or do not share. So that is kind of part of what we did. And then we did an IM poem. and we had several staff members share that. And so we really developed some norms and culture and, the idea of our campfire, but some norms and culture to be able to have those difficult conversations. And that was really important to us as a building. Coming back to my artifacts, and I'm secondary, so my artifacts for specific to secondary are the ones I'm most passionate about. So deep equity training also led me to lead a book study. So I led a book study for culturally responsive teaching and the brain, and because we were in COVID during that professional development, I used BlendSpace to create a choice board out of YouTube videos and podcasts and articles to help people have choices, and then we held a back channel on Padlet to be able to discuss what we feel. That was actually very beneficial. I think people had felt like they were in a safe environment to share what their thoughts were. We had some big aha moments with strategy with CRT, and I think that was really a good move for our building, especially doing that during COVID. So I'm part of BLT as well. I feel like that work is ingrained in what I already do. So, a lot of these things that I'm sharing are the ones I'm most proud of and had learned the most from. We did a PLC formative assessment workshop, and in this workshop we kind of trained teachers how to look at the data as a team and how to design stronger common formatives and what to do with that data moving forward. So that for me was a really good activity, and then I have them fill out a form every time they meet as a PLC, and that gives me information on which PLCs maybe are struggling to get through that data or struggling with common formatives, and I can go and support them. And then a lot of my time was also spent on redeveloping their advisory curriculum. Their advisory curriculum wasn't super broad, and what we wanted to do is bring some of our equity work into our advisory. So we created diversity lessons for our advisory. We also created social emotional lessons and study skills and financial skills lessons for our students. So that has all been embedded into Canvas, and all the teachers have copies, but they don't necessarily have to do anything other than allow students time during advisory to move through that self-paced activity. And then most recently, we have been looking at our minority enrollment in our courses, our AP courses, and we definitely need to increase that enrollment. So we started talking about that now. However, enrollment has already begun. We started talking about this a few months ago. So what we did is, I proposed that they start prepping their PD for the fall, and they spend first semester of next year really starting to make a change and a shift, and then look at the data after enrollment next year. So that's moving into our next year's goals. I'm really excited about that goal. I feel like this is a systematic issue that we can attack as a building and really improve the equity and opportunities for all of our students. I've been part of a lot of hiring committees, so not only am I part of the hiring committee for our building, I also was able to support elementary in hiring new instructional coaches. So moving into my new role, I will be supporting the instructional coaches, but I worked with administration from elementary to help hire those new instructional coaches, and so that really was helpful. And actually, the elementary experiences I had were very helpful moving into my new role as a coordinator of instructional technology. So just being able to get my feet into the elementary world prior to this new role is definitely something that gave me some eye-opening opportunities and a different perspective to be able to relate to. I have, during my time at Shawnee Mission South, I've really helped to develop teachers into sharing at faculty meetings, where before it was always the instructional coach. We have so many talented educators that I've really spent time trying to coach them into presenting. And I find a lot of times people just don't know how to present. They're not comfortable presenting because they haven't done it in front of their peers before. So this is just one example, our spring ed camp from last year. But I also had, I have 3 teachers who are presenting our district level conference this year. So I feel like during my time there, I've really helped people be comfortable sharing. And then finally, the mcgraw walkthrough. So a large part of my job is coaching. So I'm in classrooms constantly. I'm giving feedback constantly. But this was a very structured way the district was asking all of the buildings to do their walkthroughs. So I created a one-pager with links to resources for all of those areas that people were being assessed or observed in. And I then participated on our building team to do the mcgraw walkthroughs, and then we debriefed after each one to set some norms so that we all were looking for similar things, and then every teacher got feedback. And then I continue from there, which was not part of the hours they counted into this, but I then can continue my cycles of coaching and help them set goals based on these one-pager walkthroughs. And we focus first just on objectives and then feedback they give to students. So they're kind of taking one item at a time, and the mcgraw walkthrough is really based upon the Marzano strategies. So that is my, my last artifact there. Some of the district opportunities I had, which is my role, I'm moving into a district role now. So I was fortunate enough to have these opportunities. We rolled out Canvas during a pandemic, so that was an interesting opportunity. The KISA overlapped with, not only did I do that within our building, but I did have that opportunity to be on that district level team. The Canvas reboot we're currently working on, so I've included kind of a video just of us, our chat and our chat space where we set norms. We did the whole design process thinking, or we're actually in the middle of it, so we gathered feedback from all of our buildings. We have 10 people on the team, so we have 24 buildings in our district. So from 10 of the buildings, we're gathering information, and then we used our discovery chart as we were kind of digging through the data and kind of going off our anecdotal evidence that we had, and we created kind of a what user needs it, what do they need, and why do they need it type of chart. So that really helped us to focus on what prototypes need to continue now to be made before fall. The app approval process is something I joined in on, but then structured with procedures, making sure we had we did assess over 450 apps that the district had approved, but we hadn't gone through any process. They just approved them or didn't. So I created a rubric, so they have to look at security, curriculum connections, purpose, depth of knowledge, and ISTE standards. And so we look at that now as we move forward so that everything is assessed on the same level. I also helped create the digital learning framework for the district level with an elementary. My focus was secondary and hers was elementary, so together we kind of made something that bridged across those. And so we focus on balance, purpose, and communication as a district. That's kind of our big three framework that we've designed. I did present for the district site council. I was able to help kind of share Algebra 2 course data, moving and talking about how it correlates with the ACT success rates. And then I talked about Zello and how we do our IPS, our individual plans of study within our buildings. And that was people from the community, from every feeder pattern in Shawnee Mission, administration, students, parents, teachers. So that was a really great opportunity that I was given last year before COVID hit. So those are my artifacts and some of my highlights for my ePortfolio. Thank you.